Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Janeen Pottinger, and this is Tropicalfete's Authors Connecting program in celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. Today, we have first time author Sandhyia Gosine, who wrote the book A Walk Through Life. Can we bring out Sandhyia?
Hi,
Hello.
Janeen.
Hi. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Sandhyia Gosine. I am the author of A Walk Through Life. Also collaborated and wrote a book with my daughter that just came out as well. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. So, I know in the book you give an introduction to explain to the readers how you started how your love for poetry started. Can you give a little brief explanation of that?
Sure. It was actually in sixth grade. My sixth grade teacher, we had an assignment of like writing poetry, and it was literally just like a 3 or 4 line poem. And she was just like, everyone else wrote poetry and they wrote everything. And she just came up, she's like, oh my gosh, I thought the meaning of it was just so deep, and how did you come up with that? And it was like the fact that she made such a big deal about it
Mm-hmm.
made me want to continue doing it more.
That's so
And
nice.
oh my gosh, I'm like a poet now. We during sixth grade we were writing or reading Shel Silverstein poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like very fun, very light poetry, and that's exactly what the poem was about. um,
Mm.
then I found myself just, that was kind of like my outlet. It was like my, I found myself, I always kept a diary. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like my little outlet. And I was like, you know what? I started writing and the words started rhyming and I was just going along with it. So
That's so nice. Okay. So you're originally from Trinidad.
absolutely, yeah.
What age did you migrate to America?
I came here when I was 7 years old.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like moving to America at such a young age?
That's such a great question. I think if I had to choose a particular age to do that and migrate and just being able to like adapt, I think
Mhm.
7 is a really good age. I
Mm.
knew what was happening in a sense, and also it was such an easy adaptable age. I missed my friends. I missed, like
Mhm.
I didn't miss the hitting in Trinidad, but missed I missed I missed my friends. I missed like family and things like that. But I had my family, some of my family members were in New York before prior to
Mm.
getting here. So it was just, I think the excitement of seeing them kind of like overlapped everything else.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, what was it like when you knew you were very serious about writing?
So again, like I think it's so important, like for our generation, our younger generation especially, and just for, it's just like a peer, um on a peer-to-peer level, right? Like
Mhm.
if someone's doing something and they're getting a little better at it, you're gonna like kind of like point it out and say, oh my gosh, this one was
Mhm.
actually better than the last one. And my family, like poor family, because they would sit through like all of my poems. My sister still jokes about it. She's like, you know what? I had to like sit there and listen to everything, and but it. I think having like a very supportive family and environment around me
Mhm.
helped contribute to like me wanting to. Whether it was serious or not at that point, it was serious for me because I loved it, right? And it was my outlet. Every time I wrote, I felt like, oh my gosh, I felt relieved. I felt like I didn't need to speak to
Mm.
anyone because everything that I needed to write was there on that paper. And it was like my little secret. And of course, I started writing at like 11, and I
Mhm.
did not think that it was going to become a book. I thought, okay, this is
Mhm.
my diary. And, so yeah, I think when I hit like 17, 18, the poetry
Mm.
started getting better. Hope it would after that long, but yeah, it started getting better. And then then I really enjoyed it so much, and I enjoyed
Mm.
sharing it. I think that's the point when I realized that it was like, okay, I'm a little serious about it, is when I shared it beyond my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable doing that. So
Mm. Okay. All right. Was there any point or time during the process of writing and publishing your book where you were like, you were over it, you just didn't want to do it anymore?
absolutely. So, there were times when I'm like my biggest critic, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
were times like I read it, and while I was reading it, actually, I printed it up on the computer myself and like printed. I knew what I wanted the book to look like. I knew
Mm-hmm.
order of like the poetry and everything. So I did that on my own. And of course, wanting it to be just perfect, I'm like going through it. I'm like, oh, you know what? This sounds kind of cheesy. This sounds, because it's like an older version of me reading this
Mm-hmm.
back, and I'm like, this sounds really cheesy. It sounds really like like, oh my gosh, I'm cringing and all of these things. But I left those things in because at that moment when I was 11 years old or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
I so being that it was cringy and everything, I was like, oh, I don't want to include this. Should I even be publishing a book? Like, why even go through with it? Like, what if people read it and they're like, oh, it's corny? You know what I mean? So and
Yeah.
and then also the fact of being vulnerable, because this is my diary, right? So now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, everyone's going in and seeing
Do
everything
you?
that I'm but
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead with it because I was like, you know what, whatever I was going through in the moment, being an 11-year-old going through whatever thoughts I had in my head, I'm pretty sure we're all humans, we're all individuals, and we're so different and diverse, right? But the one
Mm-hmm.
thing that we all share is like experiences, although they may not
Mm-hmm.
be the same. they're they have similarities, and if my stories and my experiences can like help someone to feel like, wow, I'm not alone, I feel like this too, I hate school, or at that moment, that's what you feel. And then you're like, you're like 19 and you're like, oh my god, I love school. You just changes and it goes on and on. So
Mm-hmm. I like that because while reading your book, I feel like the reader is able to really connect to it. Because every page is like a different topic and a different theme. So like, you can take that and put it into your own life. I
oh,
like that.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. Was was there any like do you ever read your own passages to kind of make yourself feel better when you're feeling a bit down?
You know what? That's interesting that you said that. There were a couple of I lost my dad back in 2012, but I also had
Mhm.
my daughter in 2012. So
Mhm.
for me it was, I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, it was like the universe's exchange, and it was bittersweet that year for me.
Mhm.
And I went back because I wrote several poems about my dad in that book, and I went back, and it was my way of connecting to the memories that we shared together. Just being
Mm.
able to read those things, and it took me back to those moments when I wrote those poems, and I remembered feeling the feelings that I felt, and it connected me back to him. So yeah,
Aw. May he rest in peace.
thank you.
Mhm. Alright. Are there any poems that resonate with you more than anything else that you have read? Like, it doesn't have to be your own, but it could be your own poem. Like, is there
Um,
anything you have read that makes you feel full inside?
yes. So everything, it's Robert Frost, The Road Less Traveled.
Mhm.
That is one that I kind of uh every decision that I'm making, I kind of like, that's what I would base my decisions on. And it's,
Mm.
you may not always be on the path that everyone else is taking, but it's okay. You create your own, you
Mhm.
create your own lane, or it's I think that's a very powerful poem, because it's like we're so inclined, especially like now, and we see, like, especially with things like social media and like Facebook, Instagram, all of these things, we see it and we're like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to be doing. One of my biggest things was like success, like what success really means to one person. It's so
Mhm.
subjective, right? And what
Yeah.
success can mean to one person may not mean that to someone else. It's like whatever path you're aligned with is what success would mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not, you may think like you want to go along the path where everyone else is going. Um,
Yeah.
and just creating your own, you know. I always saw it before as there's two roads. You choose, you know, either one of them, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I've learned since that there are many different roads. There are many different
Mm-hmm.
paths. You just have to create them. So
Yes, I agree because I feel like social media influences us so much that, it's hard to kind of have a mind of your own sometimes.
absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
agree.
You
Okay.
know, I just wanted to share too. They say, like, I know this is going off the topic, but
Okay.
they say that things, you know, on with like likes, for example, like let's
Mm-hmm.
say they're like they did like a study of like if a post has a higher number of likes,
Mm-hmm.
you're more inclined to just click on it. You may not even like it, or you may not even find
Yes.
interest, but just it's just human psychology of like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
everyone else is liking it. You know what? Something
Yeah.
wrong if I don't. You know, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That happens a lot. I
yeah.
can't even lie. So, if you weren't into writing at a young age, what would you have become in the future?
Um. Hmm. Meaning, if I went into writing at a younger age than I started.
Like, if you could be anything, if you weren't a writer, what would
Oh,
you be today?
I see what you're saying. So this is something I wanted to become. I think all kids, like at one point,
Mm-hmm.
astronaut. You know, I think
Mm.
if it wasn't writing and coaching and following my passion, it would be a lawyer.
A lawyer?
I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
great at arguing,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think I would have been a lawyer.
Mm. Okay, so this book, it touches on a lot of subjects that can be considered emotional. How did you deal with the emotional impact of this book?
Um, what I was going through emotionally when writing it, or
Yeah, like when you were writing it at that point, how did you deal with the emotional impact that it had on you?
that's such a great question because a lot of so like I said in the beginning, it was some of the topics and some of the things that I wrote. Most of it, majority of it, was things that I
Mhm.
was going through personally. Some of it was actually things that people around me were going through, and I remember
Mm,
when I would read my poetry to like my family, they would say like, like, what do you, how can you write this? Because like what how did you know what this person was going through? Like, I mean, like, for example,
mhm,
when my aunt lost her baby, or
mhm,
when our family friend lost their daughter and things like
mhm,
that. Like things like that would have bothered me, and that was my
mm,
first it was like my first sign of showing like empathy. I didn't
mhm,
I didn't know what they were feeling, but I at a young age I put myself in their situation, and it was just like I can only imagine what they're going through, and I wrote it from like their perspective as well.
yeah,
But the emotions were, when I wrote, it was, and still when I write, it just feels very, nostalgic and like therapeutic. It's just like, oh my gosh, the minute I write, I just feel like the weight of the world has been like lifted off.
yeah. Okay. What pushes and or motivates you to keep going, like on a daily basis?
Oh,
You know?
such a great question. So, my now, anything and everything that I do has always think how it's going to affect my daughter. How is
Mm,
it going to impact her life? Is it going to be something that's going to, help motivate her? Or
mhm,
I wake up in the morning and I'm like, how can I make her happier? How can I make things better for her, for my family, for myself? Because I'm a firm believer in like the whole you need to put your mask on before you can help anyone else, on the
Mhm.
airplane person. So you have to have good health and be in a great
Mhm.
mental state of mind. You have to be happy in order to make other people happy. So
Yeah.
that keeps me going. It's their happiness, my family's happiness, my daughter's happiness, that makes me, it fuels me, because it's like, wait, I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of them, in the sense of, just motivating them and getting through this like ride that we're all on in a
Mhm.
very enjoyable way.
Yeah.
You can choose to live life, and that, I feel like it's a choice. It is a choice. We all go through adversity of, like, different situations, and I always believe that it's you're one thought away from believing and thinking that, and knowing that there things will get better.
Mhm.
So
That's nice. It's very, I like what you said. It really resonates with me right now because everyone does really go through stuff, but they can show a different face to everyone. They
exactly.
might be going through depression or anything else that's going in through their life. And,
Yeah.
on the outside, they're trying to help you, trying to help everyone else, but they're not really helping themselves.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's true. And only when you're ready to work from within, and you're ready to, then you can like express it authentically to anyone else.
mhm,
Um, I've been in situations, where in situations where I really wasn't happy. I was, much younger, in a very, like, depressed
mhm,
state at times too, and I I would laugh. That was the most that I would laugh or be happy. And everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so happy. You're so giggly."
mhm.
And the reality of it then was that I wasn't. Now when I laugh, when I'm sharing my jokes and my dad jokes and my corny jokes, when I'm doing those things, it comes from a real place, and I want to share that as much as I can.
Mhm. That's nice. Okay. So earlier you mentioned that that you're writing a book with your daughter. What kind of book is it? Is it like?
So it is actually published.
Mm,
It's called Superhero Within Me.
mhm.
So a little bit about the background of the story. My daughter and my niece Nirvana would always like play around, and have, like, we all play like pretend and all of these things.
Mhm.
They would like pretend that they were superheroes, and she would be Uni, this like FBI agent, and my
Mhm.
niece would be like a marine biologist, and they would like go and solve crimes and pretend to be mermaids and all of these things. So it reminded me so much of when I was younger, and I'm still fascinated with superheroes. I'm like
Mhm.
superhero fanatic. So like I thought I'm very like, I'll take a small little thought and I will make it into like the deepest thought you can ever think of. Everything has to be like, uh psychological with me, but I thought about it. I was like, what's really true is that we all, some of us were like fascinated with superheroes when we are younger, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, people come along and we find out that superheroes aren't real, right? And
Mhm.
we don't really have a super. And that's like, I remember the day I found out that Superman wasn't real. It sounds silly now, but I was like hurt. I was like, oh my gosh. And even I used to watch, I'm dating myself, but I used to watch damn it, Care Bears. And
Oh. Mhm.
when I found out that Care Bears weren't real, oh my gosh, that was like the biggest I was like, what? There's no like little bear in the cloud? But with Superman, like, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy that Superman's not real.
Mhm.
And then we go into this like, oh my gosh, I wish they were real, right? And
Mhm.
then I thought about it. I was like, but wait a minute, we have pilots. We can't physically fly on our own, but we have pilots
Yeah.
who can fly, right? They
Mhm.
fly. We have, we don't have the power to heal, but we have doctors. We
Mhm.
don't, so it's relatable to real, real professions and real,
Mhm.
you know. So I feel like that is where a lot of like hope gets missed. Like I, same thing. You know, when I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Mhm.
There were people naysayers around that was like, oh, there's so many lawyers. You have like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be another lawyer here, and little things like that, which is
Mhm.
so important. It's such an important thing to be mindful of what we're saying to and around children.
Mhm.
Because it can break them. It can break them. It can break their drive and their willingness to want to do something and pursue what they really are passionate about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the book is about uni, and it's about the superhero. Well, actually, so it's a little girl who was a fan of uni, who
Mhm.
happens to be like a superhero with powers and an FBI agent. And she later finds out that she can be an FBI agent, and she goes through her whole journey of
Mhm.
all of her schools and things like that. And then at the end, she becomes an FBI agent and has like a little exchange with a younger girl at the end. So it's just like a cyclical um, kind of like storyline that
Mhm.
when you're impacted or influenced by someone, you can become the person who is the influencer,
Yeah.
and dreams can come true. That's actually like one of the things that the book is based on too. So
That's really cute. Aw.
daughter did the illustrations for the book. So
Really?
yeah,
Aw. I'm gonna have to see that book later.
absolutely.
Okay. So, if you could tell your younger self anything that would probably help them today, like help them be the person who you are today a bit quicker, what would
Mhm.
you say?
Oh, I would say I do this on a daily basis. It's literally like a meditation exercise that I do where I go to
Mhm.
my younger self, but it's I would say I love you. I would say you're amazing, and I would say don't listen to the naysayers. You got this. And I would probably you know um I would probably just like make better decisions, and
Mm.
yeah. I think yeah.
Okay. Did publishing your book change your process of writing?
Yes, it did. It did because it gave me credibility in a sense. So
Mm.
it allowed me to, okay, well, that's self-doubting and everything I was doing before. It
Mhm.
helped me to alleviate some of it. I was just like, you know what? Um, I'm published. I'm okay. I'm all right. But yeah, and it kind of like helped. It. I was in control of it. I was in control of publishing it and what was in it and all of these things, and that was really really important to me because when I do something, and especially if I say like if I set goals out and I accomplish them, that's
Mhm.
like that's like it's like a power trip for me because it's like, wow,
Mm.
I said I was going to do it. I can like check that off my list, and that's like one step closer to becoming like a better version of myself. And
Mhm.
so it's just it I feel like it's self inspiration. It's things that
Mm.
once you accomplish something, you're inspired and you're like, wow, you stop doubting yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it works. It's like that's why I believe in small goals.
Mhm.
Sorry, small milestones in order to get to your goal. So if
Mhm.
you have like a goal, and this is for anyone who's watching or anyone who's younger and looking to do something like this, like don't ever doubt yourself. First of all, but second of all, if you want to get from point A, because this is what I firmly believe. I believe everyone wants to do something greater. Everyone wants to get from here to there, but
Mhm.
not everyone knows how to get from point A to point B.
Mhm.
So from point A to point B, there's so many little steps that can be put into play in order to get you there. And I think that's
Mhm.
where we fall short of not knowing. Okay, that goal is important, but there are little milestones that'll get you a little bit closer to it.
Yeah.
Because jumping from here to there would be a really hard jump. But
Mhm.
jumping from here to there to a little bit closer is going to be it's going to be doable.
Mm.
Just making sure that we have milestones in place between us and our goals is important.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say is something that you always do when you're writing that helps you either get it done quicker or just gives you inspiration while you're writing?
So I wait, because if I write, it's so weird. It's like if I just go out and I'm like, okay, I get writer's block when I'm
Mhm,
not inspired, right? If I'm not
mhm,
inspired, I'm just like, you know what, today I'm just gonna write, right? It'll just be like, it won't be as meaningful, right?
mhm,
And as silly as it sounds, one of the things that I my writing has helped me with is, because it's almost like a conditioning, right? When
mhm,
I'm hurt, when I'm sad, when I'm happy, whatever I'm going through,
mhm,
the outcome of it is good writing, right?
mhm,
So whatever the situation is, if it's a heartbreak, if it's whatever it is, my little reward, I guess in the back of my mind is like, all right, whatever is happening, it's okay, because at the end of it, I'm probably gonna get something really great. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna get really good content. Like it's like the heartbreak doesn't really matter anymore. It's like, oh man,
Mhm.
this is gonna be really good. This is gonna be great material, you know. But it's just, I feel like in all honesty, I just feel like it's just um, you know, uh, the just being real, and being able to like sit with myself and really put a lot of my real thought and everything, like, into what I'm writing, or
Mhm,
whatever I'm feeling. I'm very I love the authenticity of it. I want
mm,
whatever I'm feeling, I'll write it, because with poetry, when it comes to poetry, that I still write. That's what I do, but it's, and I feel like it's very important. Your thoughts are, this is like, if you're writing and you're not getting across a point where of what you're really intending to say,
mhm.
then what's the point of like sharing anything if it's not really
Yeah.
what you intend to say? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So yeah, just the authenticity of it all.
Okay. So, when the reader is reading the book, is there any special format that you wanted it to come out in? Like, all right, each page is very different. There's different topics, different themes. Is there a special way that you formatted it for the reader to understand?
So I actually love that question, because one of the things is that life. So the book is called Walk Through Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's called Walk Through Life, and the reason it's set up in such a, there's no like chronological order or anything of the book, and it was intentional,
Mm-hmm.
because life doesn't happen chronologically all the time. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
happens in a specific order. There's not like, it's not just like, oh, okay, all heartbreak is going to happen all at once, or
Mm-hmm.
life happens and it's all, everything is just thrown at us sometimes, and that's the intention of it. It was just, sometimes this might happen, and this is going
Mm-hmm.
to be a totally different, so that was intentional, where I wanted to kind of like keep it scattered. I didn't want it all to be organized in that way, because life is not
Yeah.
organized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. Okay. What makes your poems your own? How are they different from any other poem out there?
um you know what, it's the what's really interesting about that is that it's it's the fact of where and how my experiences, first of all, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like we're all intertwined somehow with like experience and a broader experience that we go through. But I just feel like it's my own experiences, that's one that helps me, but it's also my background of being island raised, and raised with
Mm-hmm.
Trinidadian background, and then being in America, and being and having to adapt to this like lifestyle and everything else too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always going to be like Trini in my heart. You can't take it away from me. But it's also such a an important balance too, because I feel like um I'm not 100% like even like my family in Trinidad, they're like, "Oh, you're not Trinidadian." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'll always be Trinidadian." And then you'll have the Americans that's like, "Oh, I sense a little like accent. Where is that
Yeah.
accent from?" So it's like, wait, so I'm like neither American, like what is this? But
Mhm.
but that's my own. It's the collaboration of everything that I've gone through, my upbringing,
Mhm.
everything that I've my way of thinking. And did you lose me?
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I just had like a flash on my screen. Okay,
Oh,
like the wrong time for an update. Am I lagged?
a little bit.
Hold
But
on
yeah,
one.
I understand what you're saying though, because you get best of both worlds.
Exactly. You know what? That's the best way to look at it. That's how I
Mhm.
feel. It is the best of both worlds. So I think that's what makes it kind of like unique too. It's what, my
Mm.
experiences, but also my upbringing.
Mhm. Was there anything that you experienced as a young child that really influenced you who you are now?
Absolutely. So both good and bad, right? Like we
Mhm.
all had, really great experiences, and some of us didn't have that, such great experiences also.
Mhm.
But here's the great part about that is being able to overcome it.
Mm.
Having such an amazing immediate family, like
Mhm.
I cannot say it enough. It's so important to have support, and to have like, siblings who like, like even at work, I'll say, "Oh, I love you," to my brother or my sisters, right? When
Mhm.
we're hanging up the phone, and they're like, "You tell your brother you love him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "You tell your
Yeah.
sister you love?" I'm like, "Yeah." What are you talking about? But it's just having that like closeness, that bond between us, and having that, it's I feel like that is who shaped me to be the person that I am.
Mm.
My brother, my eldest brother, is actually a pundit, which is like a spiritual leader, right, in the
Mhm.
community. And that has helped guide me into, being who I am spiritually, and just having like an appreciation for nature, and for, everything that's around us, and opportunities, and even the adversity. Because
Mm.
without negative things or challenges, let's just say, right, then we're not going to be stronger. We'll just be in this comfort zone that is just going to be like, okay, whatever, it's not going to teach me anything.
Mhm.
If you're on a level, and I told my niece this the other day, if you're playing, like, we play badminton, so like if you play like badminton, and you're just like throwing the ball, and just like the birdie, and you're just like knocking it,
Yeah.
one to the other, and there's no like, going from this way, or no one's slamming it, then it's like,
Mhm.
okay, whatever, it's just like, I don't really want to play. There's no
Mhm.
satisfaction or gratification or anything from that.
Mhm.
When you really like score, you're like, oh yeah, that was awesome, take that, but yeah, so the gratification of like getting over and overcoming the challenges and things like that. As a child, I had some negative things happen to me, but it made me into the person that I am, because now I have the tools that's necessary in order for me to move forward and make sure that things that happen to me does not happen to anyone that's around me.
Mm.
I have the tools. I'm equipped to know what to do and what to deal with. So I'm
Mm.
grateful for that. I'm grateful for the adversity and the negative things that happen, because if it didn't happen to me, it may have happened to someone else that I care about. I'd rather take
Yeah.
the fall, you know. I'll take one for the team, and I'll just share it.
So, what about this book cover? It's a really nice book cover, though. It's
Thank
very
you very
nice. I
much.
like the tree. What
Thank
inspired the book cover?
So, the tree of life. Um,
Mm.
that's really what inspired it. It's just, and you can see like the tree itself has like different color leaves.
Mhm.
It's just different emotions, different things that we all go through, and it's all in
Mm.
one tree, right? It's one
Yeah.
tree that has like so many different colors and so many different things. It's, different seasons, different things, and influence us, different emotions, different things that we're going through will
Mhm.
always um we'll always be we will always be influenced to a certain extent by it, but as long as we're standing strong, as long as we're true to our roots,
Mhm.
then then we'll continue to grow. And that was really, it was really an important part of choosing the book, because it's life, it's a tree
Mhm.
of life, and
Yeah.
walking through it, and going through all of the changes and things that happens along the way. So
Mhm. What made you want to write this book? Like, what made you want to put all your feelings into one book?
I I I kept a book. I used to show it to everyone, but I used to write
Mhm.
all of them. The book, the like when I actually wrote my poems, the book that I kept it in, I still have it till this day. So
Mhm.
I had it. It was like, it's a red cover book, and I had it, and I was just like, you know what am I gonna like do with this? It was actually finished. There was the last page on it, and I was like, what am
Mhm.
I gonna do with this now? Like, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna read it, and then that's when I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Other people who may be going through these things, um, would want to read something to make them, to make them understand that they're not alone. And my
Yeah.
family read it, and my sister actually like took the book and read it one day, and she's like, you know what, you should really publish this. And I was like, yeah, but how do you do that? Like, what do you have to do to publish a book? And
Mhm.
I looked into it, and then I was like, okay, awesome. I'm gonna publish this book. And even when I said it, I didn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, okay,
Mm.
in the back of my mind, I'm like, and that was probably one of the biggest things for me, is that when I actually held it in my hand, oh man,
Mhm.
it was like the best feeling in the world.
I can imagine. Wow. Alright, what part of the process of getting your book published to actually thinking about, doing the whole process was the hardest for you?
um, you know what? The hardest for me was was reading it at the like when I had it in my hand. I knew it was real, and this is it. Like, it's gonna go out. People are gonna read it, and I when I read it, then it brought me right back to like that self doubt and everything. Even though I had it
Mhm.
in my hand, it was like, it was probably like one of the hardest things was just letting it go, like saying like, okay, whatever it is that's in there was in there for a reason. It was something I was going through, and I
Mhm.
chose at one point to write this. This was so I stopped looking at it like that. I When I look at it even now, like if I look at the book, my daughter picks up this book all the time and
Mm.
reads it, by the way. Like, she'll like read all of it and like come and like read it to me, and you know and even that is like such a amazing feeling, because I'm like, it's so cool. Like, she's 9 going on 10, and I started writing
Mhm.
when I was 11, and here I am. My 9-year-old daughter is like reading things that I was going through at 11 years
Mhm.
old. So it's like, it's very, meaningful for me. But I think it was just letting go of, and stop being so like critical of the
Mhm.
writing and what I was going through, and oh my gosh, what are they going to think? I think that was my step of not caring about what people think about anything, that not really caring about what you're going through or what you went through, because like, if you think about it, it's absolute. It's something that already happened. It's something that you can't change, and it happened.
Mhm.
So why not, don't hide from it. Instead, share it, and maybe someone else will learn something along the way from your experience.
Mhm. So, what kind of books do you like to read on your personal time?
Ooh. So I love anything to do with like self help, and
Mm.
I'm really big on like, you know self-help, motivating, anything to make to put me to another level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, any good book. I love reading, so any good book.
I agree, man. Reading, it's, it just brings a type of vibe, that's really calming, really, you know, it just makes me happy personally. Okay, so how long did it take to actually put out the book?
It was about, I would say, 2 years. It was a 2-year process for that book.
Mm. And that was from like researching how to put out the book and everything?
Exactly. Yeah, and wanting
Mm.
and where I wanted to publish it and how I wanted to publish it, what rights I want to have. I wanted to make sure that everything was just, I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure I had rights to my own book. That was really important to me. So, and then the proceeds of the book actually, we did all of the proceeds of the book till now goes to like the Herbies Foundation. It's like
Mm.
a foundation for like children who can't afford surgeries, like life-threatening surgeries and things like that. So when I see that, that was like because it was my first book, I was like, I want everything to be given back. Um, so
Mhm. That's nice. Okay. What was your favorite part of the book?
so I would say towards the ending, to be honest,
Mhm.
like only because of course I can be like, oh well, the entire book is my favorite book. But I would say the seeing my own growth. It was like,
Mm.
so the ending for me, the ending of the book was more of like, wow, okay, it went from that to this, and
Mhm.
I I read my, it was like proof of my growth as a person. So
Mm.
that's probably my favorite part.
All right. In this book, there are pages and pages of comfort. What would you say is the reaction that you wanted from your readers?
I want them to know that they're not alone. Whatever you're
Mhm.
feeling, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. We have, and that's probably one of the things I would tell my younger self too, is that you have so many other people going through the same things with you, and getting through it is, and this is what I want my readers to know, is like getting through it is, it's going to happen. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing, good or bad. Nothing lasts forever, and what you're going through is only momentary, and you're not alone.
Mhm. I understand. Okay, we have a question from the comments, and it says, "Will you be publishing another book, and how soon?"
Oh, great question. Thank you for that. So, yes, I will be, because since the first book, The Walk Through Life, has been from the age of 11 to about like 19. Um, this might come as a surprise, but I'm not 19 right now. But so since 19 until now,
Mhm.
more than 19, I
Mm.
I've written several other poems. So
Mm.
I would love to share that, because then and yeah, so I already have, like, a couple of titles in mind, but yeah. So
Okay. Can't wait. Can't
oh,
wait. Okay, so how did you record your progress from like a young age when you were writing your poems to now?
the old-fashioned way, pen and paper. It was just in, like I said, like just one of those like hard-covered books. I would just like, I picked it up. But what's interesting is that I would like write like with like of course, like rough drafts and things like that. And that
Mhm.
book, that red book that I had, was, it was like my final like entry. I would write it over, and like while I'm writing it over, one of the things though is that even though I thought different things, and I wanted to like write different things at that time when I was writing it over, because it's like now I'm writing it, neat, right? Because I have to keep it in
Mhm.
this book. And different things would like come up in my mind, and I kept it the same. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna change it because
Mhm.
that's what I felt in the moment. So
And on the back of the book, the actual book, it says there's a quote from you that says, "We all have different stories and different memories that makes us individuals. However, life has a way of linking us all by placing us in similar situations. These are just some of which I've encountered." Would you like to elaborate on that?
yes. So I think it goes along with what I've been saying, which is that we all are different. We're different entities. We're different people. We're different beings. We're different. We're placed in different situations overall, right? But in the larger scope of everything, um, we're so intertwined and we're so much more alike than we would like to think or imagine, especially when we're going through these situations. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm going through this and this is happening to me. And, I've learned since then that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a big shift, and knowing that you're not going through these things alone. We're all intertwined. you know you'd be amazed at how much we're intertwined, and how many things that we do on a daily basis can affect so many other people. you know
Mm-hmm.
um it's such an intricate and amazing thing to see, like how we all affect each other and how we can just one smile. I always say
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm like, you wake up, you go out your house, you smile at the first person you see, and even though they're grumpy or whatever it is, whatever mood they're in,
Mm-hmm.
if you smile at them, chances are you're going to change their mood, and the next person they're interacting with, they're going to probably be a little bit nicer too.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you were like, let's say you wake up, you walk out your house and you're like, okay, move, da da da, whatever, uh, that person's probably gonna get upset. They're probably gonna be in a bad mood driving. They're gonna, so it's so important and so intricate. Like it's so intricate, but it's so simple too at the same time. Where
Mm-hmm.
one little action and one little thing that we do, it intertwines us all, and it matters.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything that you would like to say to the young future authors or the people who want to be a poet but are struggling?
I would say don't give up.
Mm.
Just believe in yourself. Don't overthink it either. Uh, you're writing, and whatever it is, even if it doesn't. This is the thing with poetry, and it's so amazing too, is that poetry can be anything from
Mhm.
rhyming to non-rhyming to whatever you're feeling inside. There's like so many different genres of poetry, and just writing in general. Whatever you're writing,
Mhm.
whatever you're feeling, it's your story, it's what you're experiencing. It's never right or wrong. It's
Yeah.
yours, and own it. Know that whatever it is, however it is, it's okay, because that's what you're feeling, or that's what you are writing at that moment. And it matters. It's important because other people are probably feeling that way too. And
Mhm.
just giving a voice, having sharing that voice and sharing that thought is crucial, and it's important. It's your existence, it's your being, because that's who you are and what makes you different. That's your contribution.
Mhm.
And it's important, so don't give up. um you know Reach out if you need help. I'm here to help anyone I can. So reach out if you need help, and good luck.
And I would like to say thank you for being here. This
Thank
book
you.
is so lovely. Like I me personally, while I was reading it, I was like, wow, like this book is actually really, really nice. It spoke to me differently because I can actually relate to some of the stuff that's going on in the book, and I really like that about it. It gives that its own sense of individuality.
Oh, thank you, Janine. I appreciate that.
And I wish for you the amount of success you deserve, which is a lot. And thank
Oh,
you again.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone,
Mhm.
for watching. And you guys are amazing.
Thank you. Okay. And for the viewers out there, I would just like to say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to visit us tomorrow at Grand Army Plaza for our Carnival Fest in celebration of Caribbean Heritage Month. You'll be able to see our Stilts and Steel Pen program, as well as our limbo and masquerades, and many more. There's also a special visit from the mayor, so don't miss it.